Well, hello there and welcome to the channel. And in this video I'm going to be talking to you about ideas for a small tropical garden here in the UK, which is a great thing because I indeed have a small garden here which we've designed as a tropical effect exotic garden. So let me show you around, let me show you the sort of things that we put in to try and create that tropical effect. Now, to call it a tropical garden is a little bit misleading because it's a tropical effect garden. Yes, you can put plants from the tropics in your garden, but on the whole, if you do that, and the most of them are going to be killed off over the winter periods because they cannot take freezing temperatures. Now, some might be able to go down to about 7 degrees, 6 degrees before they just sort of stop and start collapsing. But if you're lucky, there are a few from South America, like the mountainous regions and the mountainous regions of Asia, that give that tropical effect, but also give you some hardiness qualities too. So what we should really be saying is it's an exotic garden, but generally they're called tropical gardens, and so that's kind of what we're going to stick with here. So the first idea we've kind of gone with here, especially on this border here, is layers. So we started off with some very low growing plants at the beginning of the bed, and then we structured it so they get higher and taller and higher until you hit the trees. And even in the trees we've got these plants hanging out to give you that kind of a South American epiphytic effect with plants growing on trees, because an epiphyte is a plant that grows on a plant that can also be growing on another plant. So if you look at the trees, we have a number of baskets, we have a number of nests we've kind of made, and to try and bring some added interest to this tree, so make it look more tropical. So from here you can see it, you got layer right to the top, so you just got like a big bank of color, a big bank of interest. So once you've done your layering to make most of the space, because especially if you've got a small garden, you want to try and grow up as well as out, then look at what you feel gives you a tropical effect in a plant. Now for us, we like to look at size of plant, leaf size, leaf shape, the architectural qualities and color. We like to mix it out a bit so your eye bounces from plant to plant to plant, so it's not just like a wash of green that doesn't really give a lot of interest. We want to try and show interest with the distinct characteristics of the leaf. Now let me show you. So we'll begin with the most obvious plant in the whole border, and that's this absolutely huge hardy banana, or Japanese banana. This is botanically known as Musabasju, and it's found in China. I believe it's originally found in China, even though it's now called the Japanese banana. But this is currently about 3 meters tall. These can grow to a fantastic 5 meters tall. And look at the size of that one leaf. That's almost 2 meters long, and they can grow up to about 2.5 meters, so it's getting very close to its maximum size. But look at it, you got both size, you got shape, you got structure, you have an architectural look. And really, when you think of the tropics, you often think of bananas, so it's a really obvious choice, and what a great idea. And because it's hardy or root hardy, you can grow this in your garden in the UK. Now moving into the border, we have another fantastic, pretty hardy large leaf plants, and this is Tetra Panax papyrifer, which is your rice paper plant. And look at this, this is a huge leaf. These leaves on mature specimens, these can reach up to 1 meter wide, and it is the second largest leaved plant that you can grow here in the UK. And again, it's pretty tough, and like the banana, it's pretty much root hardy. So if you get any damage on this plant over the winter, which we did here, you can see this, we're about to make a cut, it will grow back from the base from underneath. Oh, look at that underneath. So we have babies coming through, babies are plenty. So another cracking choice if you want an exotic plant in your garden. Now another idea that you want to take note of is flower color, the palette of color that you have in your tropical garden, because in the tropics and specifically in South America, many of the flower colors that you will find are kind of this dark crimsony red, and the reason why it's that red is because that's the color that attracts the pollinating insects and hummingbirds. So I wouldn't go just reds in your garden, but if you have like a strong red background of colors, and I'll show you a few around here, then it gives you that really classic kind of tropical look. But we like to mix ours up also with yellows and hard pinks, so bright bold colors and a lot of red. So look at this little beauty, look at the size of these leaves. This is the Bolivian Fuchsia boliviana, and look at these bright red flowers, and these are known to be pollinated by hummingbirds. So this is absolute classic. It is exotic, it is fairly hardy. Typically you can expect this to go down to about -2, but if you're at risk of colder temperatures, then make sure this is either protected or take cuttings in the late autumn, so at least you got some new propagation material in the spring. We also got a lovely crimson salvia here, and you get on this foliage, you get a really lovely sagey scent off these. So this is a great one. It's not terribly big, but we only grew this year. This is one we took from cuttings. They grow ever so easy from cuttings. And dahlias are another great source of red flowers, and this one's growing in another tetrapanix here. These are wonderful. Look at the size of that flower, it's almost as big as your hand. And we've got another great fuchsia here, and again this is from the triphylla group. It's got these lovely, you recognise that actually from the Bolivian fuchsia, but again pollinated by hummingbirds. It's got quite a lovely dark rich colour foliage, and this is it's a triphylla plant, and it's the cultivar name is Thalia. And for another idea for a small garden is to use the height. Now we've got a lovely little black-eyed Susie here, which we've grown on a frame. So a plant that's, if you haven't got space, we've got it in a pot, grown on the on a frame, and that's absolutely gorgeous. And also we've got plants on pedestals to make use of the height, and also over here too. And just over there, you can't see it. It's kind of finished flowering, but there's a lovely glory lily. But what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of video when this plant was looking at its best, and it was absolutely superb. Again, it's not hardy, but you can lift those dry zone, big root tubers, and bring those indoors for overwinter and put those back out in the spring. That is an absolutely cracking plant. So I guess next to bananas with your for tropical effect, you got your palms, and this one is probably the hardiest palm that you can go. This is Traphicarpus fortinii, and this is hardy down to -12. Absolutely superb, and once it establishes, it really starts to run away. You've got a little ginger in here just for a bit of fun, but that hasn't flowered this year. But amongst that, there's a lot of plants that are kind of a tick box of plants that you should have. We've got canna lilies next to there. This one is Cleopatra, and you've got a range of colours on these petals. We've got a bamboo just over here, black one, because the green one, Philostachys aurea, is a bit of a nuisance in the garden. But this black one, which is the Philostachys nigra, it kind of sort of stays, it sort of clumps itself. It doesn't start ramping across the borders. It's probably one of the better ones to have. And if you notice there, we generally do have a tropical plant, and let's say a Swiss cheese plant, which we've had that all year, and really we had this outside for most of the winter, because despite what people think, this will actually take 1 or 2 degrees below zero. It's it's surprisingly strong. One of the plants that I really like and give a really lovely effect in the garden is this dichondra, because it kind of evokes that look of the old Spanish moss, that sort of silvery, or it's a Tillandsia, Usinoides, I'm not quite sure the name, can't remember off the top of my head. But having that hanging in a tree gives you that old man's beard kind of effect, and I think that's really lovely. And just next to that, now we grow these from seed in the spring because they're ever so easy, but this is Ricinus communis, it's the castor oil plant, and this is a cultivar called Red, and you may have seen this at the Chelsea Flower this year, where the leaves are green, but the stems, they are all red, and they're really lovely, especially when the sun's on them. Now, before I give you my last idea, at least for now, I just want to draw attention to this this other Ricinus communis, this red form impala. I mean, look at that, that's beautiful, and these leaves are superb. It really stands out in the garden and gives you that fantastic exotic look, so I really would recommend one of these. But the last thing I want to talk to you about is undercover plants and undercover plants in the shade, because in all gardens, most shade-loving plants are green, a bit boring. You tend to lose them under the other plants. But let me show you a couple that you should really consider to bring a bit of sparkle to your exotic garden. So the first one I'm going to show you is this brunner, this gorgeously silver leaf plant here. It's a herbaceous plant, and this cultivar, I believe, is Jack Frost, and it absolutely shines under the canopy. Really, really good. And then next to that, we've got Tradescantia silimontana. Now you might find this actually as in your xerophytic display, so a plant that doesn't like to be kept in moist conditions. It's almost like a succulent. It's superb, and it's sort of hairy leaf. But again, I've had this outside for about, oh my goodness me, probably about 10 years. It is so incredibly hardy. It does like full sun, but we have underplanted it here, and it's still keeping that silvery colour. This is absolutely brilliant, this plant. So the last plants I want to show you are these painted nettles. These are coleus, and you can't keep these in the sun because these colourful, these brightly coloured leaves will fade and scorch, and they'll be absolutely ruined. So you have to keep them in the shade in order to keep their colour. Let me show you a couple of others that we've got as bigger specimens. Look at that, you can't deny that. That is absolutely glorious, really, really lovely, and wonderful leaf colours. And this one here, this one's my favourite. I think it's called crimson gold. I'm not quite sure, but look at that, beautiful. And imagine that in the shady parts of your garden. So there you have it, some of the ideas that we've used in our small UK garden to try and give you that tropical effect. So if you've got any ideas that you'd like to add to this, then put those in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And if you've seen anything in the garden that you'd like me to sort of point out as to what it is, why is it doing there, then let us know in the comments too. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, then consider subscribing, and don't forget to press that notification button. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.